Ladies and gentlehands, welcome back to the nether. We're going to be spending a lot of time in the nether today because we are going to expand out and really begin fleshing out the whole entirety of the central nether hub section. As you can see from this little cutout here, we kind of have a nice little theme going on with these cool kind of basalty rocks going on in the background with a lot of, black stone, tough, deep slate, a little bit of mud in there too. If we fly on through the tunnel here, you can see a little bit of a better example of our post-industrialism kind of theme we have going on for our nether. And we're going to be really leaning into it over in the central area. As you can see, I put a lot of effort into this one little junction here where we can go to the desert, or we can go to seaside. So this is a lot of effort for one area, and we're gonna be putting in a similar amount of effort in today's episode. It's gonna be a big old juicer because today is also episode 70, which means there's gonna be a world download available. So if you're interested in checking out any of my other builds or even exploring the nether hub for yourself, you can join as a channel member and you get a world download for thyself. So I really want to tie in our whole gold farm over here, our nuclear power plant, which a lot of you guys were very against my title on the previous nether video we've done, which I understand, but this is supposed to be Chernobyl and supposed to be kind of run down, and we're leaning into the whole radioactive pollution even further in this world. I know, nuclear isn't necessarily radioactive, but I want to give our nether a bit more of a purpose and like its theming, and I want to kind of match the world building theme that's kind of going on with the nether. It's like very smoggy on our nether roof, and I want to very much lean into that. But over here, you can see our gold farm is actually functional now, and we set up some really cool redstone kind of going along here. We have an ice path to move all of the items, all of the drops that come from our gold farm. We have our little platform, little cobweb thing where it shoots out all the items, and nice little copper hopper timer to, activate the slime block to push some of the items through, and it goes through all this path right here into these filters. And I've done a little bit of AFKing because we're going to need a lot of gold ingots to trade with some bartering, with some piglins to do some bartering. Excuse my freaking Flippington. So I want to bring a bunch of bartering guys into this big old open room we have here, and then we're going to get blackstone off of them, and also a lot of other neat little trades we get from bartering. Like string is a big one because I'm really tired of using my very slow spider farm to get all of our string for candles and other detailing and whatnot. So the gold farm needs to be up and running by the end of this episode. That is my goal. So we'll probably first work on the bartering farm before we start doing any building to help with our resource gathering, because we're going to need a whole lot of moss, a whole lot of deep slate, and a whole lot of blackstone. So as you can tell, probably from the thumbnail and title of this video, I don't even know what I'm calling this thing yet, but we're going to be making a massive radioactive waterfall and some really cool mountains out over in this kind of quadrant of our world. Kind of start working in the nether nuclear reactor we have over here into more of the theme of this area. I really want this to be kind of a backdrop piece, but obviously it's very functional because we have a whole farm there. And so we need to start blending in some terrain to kind of make this guy feel a little bit more nestled into the rest of our nether hub. And eventually we're going to work more on some of the extending areas of the nether hub, but that's just too much work for one video. I'm already very late on this video, so I apologize. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our bartering farm and get some blackstone rolling. I'm going to try to get a few shulkers of that and some shulkers of deep slate, and then we can begin working on some awesome terraforming, which I'm very excited to share with you guys. So now it's time to get started on that bartering farm. Let's freaking get into it. The bartering farm is complete, and the build around it is so freaking awesome. I am very happy with it. So right now we're in our control room, as you can see, and we're kind of looking down onto the bartering farm. We have 7 stalls on each side, so 14 barterers in total. I had to trap a bunch of piglins inside there, as you might have seen from the montage, which Oh my god, that took like an hour. That was ridiculous. But if we leave the control room and head downstairs here, we have an easier access to the rest of the bartering area. But before we go in there, here is our storage room. And this will be up and running very shortly. I am going to do a bunch of AFKing, and we will get all of the resources we need. I have string, nether brick, quartz, obsidian, gravel, and blackstone. I think there's one other one I'm forgetting. Leather, maybe? I think leather. But I also made this little room right here. This is like a little airlock, if you will. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I like these little like designs right here and the grates and everything. It looks pretty freaking cool. And the floor, of course, is all mob proof. Everything has to be mob proof in the nether, which is just so fun. But here is the ground floor. You can see the massive array of buttons here. I used these bamboo blocks to kind of look like little grids for these cooling rods. So I'm imagining each one is an individual cooling rod, and like these buttons here are like a handle to pick up that, you know, that section of cooling rods, or however it works. Honestly, I don't really know. I quite like it, to be honest. I really like how it looks from the control room down. I think it looks very you know, buttony and repetitive, and I think it just gives off the vibe of the cooling rods for the Chernobyl reactor. Now on the sides here we have each of our barterers, and I went in, named them all Bart, so say hi to the Bart family. Now the redstone we have going on here is actually quite freaking cool. I'm pretty happy with it. It's pretty interactive as well, with being able to see the items and all these minecarts moving around is really freaking cool. So let's hop into Cheaty Cam and I can explain a little bit of the redstone, because frankly it's not that complicated. All right, let's start from the gold farm itself. So first off, here is our gold farm. All of our piglins fall into these hoppers right here, and all of their drops go into this little cobweb, and they fall down. This piston is on a nice little timer, and it pushes the items across. These little pressure plates kind of activate accordingly. The items line up with the edge of this chest, and they fall all the way over into these hoppers, and they get organized. We craft gold ingots over here. Right now, there's no transfer from gold ingots into the actual bartering system where they go into these hoppers. So eventually we'll work that out. But for now, I'm just doing it manual because I frankly was doing so much redstone today. I was getting pretty tired of it. So we put gold ingots into these minecart hoppers right here, and they go over these tracks and drop off from these hoppers into these guys a bunch of gold ingots. If we hop over into my real person, I can hop right here and see, look, there's 45 gold in there. And then the system we have inside these actual little tubes, these test tubes, if you will, for these guys, is that we have these pressure plates right there. And whenever an item is on there, it'll sit there and wait. And then the piglin here will pick up the item. And as soon as the item's missing, it'll reactivate that dropper and put another item there. So they're always getting fed gold, which is pretty sweet. So it's pretty dang efficient, I will say. Now, once they're done trading, they drop their items underneath them, and there is a nice little hopper underneath each of these stalls. And if we hop them back into Cheaty Cam, they go into this chest, and there's a hopper minecart going through, picking up as many items as it can, which honestly is very inefficient. I know a lot of people probably aren't a fan of how I've done this, but I found this to be the easiest for me to be able to comprehend. But as you can see, the hopper minecart comes through, picks up all the items from the chests, and goes up this big old freaking swirly right there. And then comes over here to the minecart unloader, and we have it set up to be pretty fast, so they aren't waiting here very long. And there is a nice little hopper minecart here, and then there's two hoppers right there going into two different dispensers, and then they hopper into this guy, and then like the gold farm over yonder, they fall into this cobweb, and then there's an ice path pushing all of these items all the way over here, and then they line up with this chest, they fall down, a little tripwire hook. First time I've used a tripwire hook in forever. Then we just do the same thing, we push them along, and then any excess items get burnt alive. And that's pretty much it. It's a very simple system, but it's very convoluted because I wanted to fit everything inside of the big old nuclear facility here, which I think was worth it, but we'll find out in the future if it really was worth it. All right, I've loaded up all of these stalls here with some gold ingots, and I think we're ready to activate our system and do a little bit of AFKing. Probably only like 30 minutes, maybe. I don't like to AFK too much. But we'll get a bunch of these guys up and running. We'll see if our system works over here. We'll watch it for just a second. And then hopefully we'll have a bunch of blackstone, and then we can finally start on our build. All right, we got to go back here and do a little bit of maintenance. We got to break each of these torches and then replace it. And then the gold ingot will land there. And look, it just keeps repeating the cycle. Beautiful. All right, they're all running. You can see they have gold all above them, ready for them to pick up and start using. I think I hear our system even activating right now using these. Look at these observers go. I know they're going crazy. The items are flowing. Hop in the cheetah cam. Let's watch it. Oh, I love it. I love this system. It's so fun to watch. Boop. Just like that. Oh, yeah. It's kind of going to take its time with these items because I want to make sure that they all kind of stack up together with the cobweb. And it's just a little bit slower like that. But, you know, they stack up to a full 64 in one single, like, you know, stack of items, I guess. So it's a little bit more efficient as well to just move the items around like this instead of doing like a whole hopper line or something. Especially, you know, hoppers move pretty slowly. So let's see. Do we have anything in the chest yet? Oh, no. Oh, obsidian. Oh, we got gravel coming in right now. And we got some blackstone. Oh, I'm so excited to do some AFKing right now. Oh my goodness. All right, I'll be back in a little bit and I'll show you guys the results of our AFK session. All right, it's been a few days, and I mean a few real days of AFKing and resource grinding, and I finally have all the resources we're gonna need for our project today. So after bartering about 5 stacks of gold, here is our results inside of our storage room here. We have a whole lot of string, which is actually very nice for candles and all that fun stuff. Decent amount of quartz, good amount of nether bricks. Okay on leather. Nice little amount of obsidian here. Never have to worry about that again. And the gravel chest here is actually a nice little benefit here. I'll never have to go find a gravelly mountain hill ever again, which is very nice. But the freaking creme de la crop is the blackstone here. The main reason we actually made the whole gold farm realistically, and we have a full double chest and 60. So I might have to do a tiny bit more AFKing. I'm not 100% sure, but it is finally enough for me to actually get started on our project here. And I've been doing a lot of resource grinding also between the last clip and this clip. I'll just bring these guys over to the rest of the shulker monster I got going on. Look at this freaking massive amount of shulker boxes. I don't think I've had this many shulker boxes for any single project. And luckily, a lot of these blocks are very similar, you know, type or whatever. So we have multiple shulker boxes of moss over here and a few of some moss carpets and leaves and all that stuff, and also like a lot of cobbled deep slate over here and mud and basalt. It's crazy. Thankfully, I had a lot of the infrastructure for this already, and I already had a lot of this deep slate mined, which was pretty nice, but this is like the last of our deep slate supply, so we're gonna be running thin after this project. And now we have our blackstone already, and I think we pretty much have all of our resources ready to begin working on the first section of this project that I want to share with you guys. So first, we're going to be working on the big radioactive waterfall that's going to be present right here, just about, and the mountainside all around it, and probably a little bit of the mountain kind of coming out over towards this rail track right here. And we'll probably do a little bit of the rail design as well as, you know, the same one that we did over yonder. You can see the little bit of diorite we have over there. So yeah, I mostly want to get the big scenery done. And we also have the glass river that we're going to be having for the radioactive waterfall. It's going to be kind of continuing out over this way. And the glass was also such a hassle. Look how much glass I've had to gather. I don't think I've ever seen this many shulker boxes full of glass in my entire Minecraft career. So this will be fun. This project is going to be absolutely massive, and I hope you guys are already subscribed or subscribe right freaking now because I would really appreciate it. This video has taken me so long to work on, and I've also been busy playing Silk Song. Sorry about that, but that's the game of the year, okay? But I hope you can forgive me for the absolute epicness we're about to build. So anyways, as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the montage. I have placed a lot of freaking blocks, but look at this beauty behind me. This is so epic. I'm actually so happy with how this has all turned out. And look at the skyline we kind of have going on here too, with the mountain back over there. And it kind of just, it like folds up really nicely, and it kind of has a nice little leading line. I just really like the depth of this big old mountain back here. And of course, the radioactive waterfall. Ooh, so cool. And something that you guys might like as well is the big old radioactive river here, which I think turned out really well. I'm actually quite happy with adding in these little frog lights down here to add a little bit of extra light kind of coming through. And I did little swirls because I didn't want to fill up the whole floor with frog lights. I think that would look a little ridiculous and maybe even a little bit too bright because they're, you know, a little bit whiter in tone. But I think the swirls actually are pretty neat, and they're not too like crazy. They're a little, you know, demanding on your attention. But I think it looks pretty freaking awesome. And I know a handful of you guys are going to be asking me why I'm not using continuity or any sort of connected textures. And it's because I like the aesthetic of vanilla Minecraft, and I don't really like how connected textures look, especially glass. Like glass panes and stuff. I like how they can layer up together and can create some interesting kind of shapes and everything with that. And when you have connected textures, it kind of ruins it just a tiny bit. So we're going to stick with the regular Minecraft glass here, and I think it looks really neat. Yeah, the lines are a little bit distracting, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Now you can see we have a few visitors hanging out in the area, and I haven't fully mob-proofed everything. I've done all the moss carpets, but I have not gotten all the carpet quite yet to cover up all of the, you know, exposed surfaces here that people can spawn on. And we're also missing a lot of foliage, and foliage is our next pass we're going to be doing in the general vicinity. So we're going to add in a bunch of more of the trees, and the trees that we're going to be making are these types right here, the same kind of style we've been doing for a while now. We're gonna throw them all over the place. We're gonna make a nice little tunnel over here connecting up to the end portal. I think is right behind this mountain right here. Now I want to talk about how I made these mountains here, because there's a very specific style that I was trying to go for here, and I think I did a pretty decent job. I'm not the best with terraforming. I'm definitely trying to improve over time here, so bear with me. So these mountains are supposed to be kind of representative of the basalts that you see in the actual nether down under. But I wanted to have a bit more unique shaping here, and I was kind of aiming for like I think they're called columnar basalts. I mean, pretty much like the basalt deltas, but they're in real life too. These like very hexagonal kind of shapes going on, and they kind of form these really crazy mountains. And I kind of went with a bigger scale with these big old cylinders I kind of created here with Axiom. And I had a lot of fun kind of designing all of this, and I think it turned out pretty well. I like the big old like circular shapes that we have going on here, and like the layers, and it's very angular, but it's kind of still flat. I think it's very cool, and I think it's a nice little aesthetic that we are going to kind of continue throughout most of our nether hub, which hopefully is going to be a little bit easier now we have the gold farm up and running. Now, I've also been doing this one thing that I think a lot of you guys might call me out for. If we fly up above, you can see it really well. You can see we have these weird lines, and we're kind of using a lot of forced perspective to create the effect of these mountains. I'm calling these billboard mountains because we have no backs, barely even any tops. But when you're on the ground floor, when you're on the mine carts, or even like kind of relatively low to the ground, or like you can see the mountains and they all look pretty continuous. Maybe this is a bad angle for this one, but over here, these all look fantastic, and you can barely even tell that these are pretty much billboarded. Now, the reason I do these kind of weird stripes here is, one, it creates the depth of the mountain, and it still has the effect of the layers, but two, it saves me resources in terms of the blocks I have to fill up this space with, and also carpets, because I have to fill up all of those with carpets, and that's usually the main reason. It's called to mob-proof so much of this place. Unfortunately, I really can't get away with not mob-proofing anything, because we do have a gold farm right here, which we need maximum rates for. And also, I don't want to be like harassed when I'm in the nether, especially in the roof here and everything, and I'm trying to travel to and fro on our rail system, and I don't want to get freaking shot out by ghasts or harassed by hoglins or whatever threat I have in the nether. So yeah, we gotta mob-proof everything, unfortunately, so it's a little flat looking. I really do want to find some sort of way where we can maybe even just like try to add in some grass, maybe a few bushes and stuff. Bushes we can get away with because mobs can't spawn on leaves. But yeah, we unfortunately have to carpet everything, and there's no way I can get grass in here. String does not work. I know a handful of you guys are gonna say try using string to kind of cover up some of the mobs proofing spots, but mobs can spawn on string, unfortunately. They used to not be able to. All right, but we do have a little bit more work cut out for us. I do want to go through and add in a bunch of these awesome trees that we talked about just a second ago. And also I want to add in a little bit more aesthetic to this area. So we are very much going for the post-industrial, industrial kind of theme in general. So I think I want to add in some water tanks over here, like they're uninfected from the river here. And then I also had the really cool idea with my stream chat to add a sort of truck here who's trying to clean up some of the spillage from the radioactive river, which they are far too late for. But some liquidators, because the people who cleaned up the Chernobyl disaster were called the liquidators. So I think a nice little liquidation truck right here. They're trying to like suck up some of the spewage and reduce the amount of, nuclear waste that's going on here. But it is far too late for that because the Chernobyl reactor behind me, the gold farm, has infected the whole nether. Actually, it's polluted the whole nether, but nuclear reactors are not that polluted, okay? It's just for the aesthetic. You know it. You know it. You get it. All right, let's hop back into another montage, and then we will be done with this beautiful landscape. So I'll see you guys in just a few minutes. After a few more hours of grinding, our build is fully complete and our nether hub is really starting to take a lot of shape here, and I am loving it. So yeah, I went through and added in a bunch of these trees as our nice little details just to kind of fill up some of the space, but we also have a lot of really cool kind of more structures in the background here. So these are like our water tanks, and I really like this palette I did of just using some of the copper there and using some of these bamboo signs to kind of create some nice little grid lines going across. And then there's a nice big old stone, bigger kind of water tank back here. I did some really cool texturing on it. I don't know if you guys can see it from here, but there's a nice little subtle like amount of blue paint. Oh my gosh, my tongue got twisted. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out, and we're using glass panes to create the effect that we want, and a little bit of prismarine too, and some lapis ore. Get a little bit crazy here. I really wanted to experiment with some glass baking, if you will, kind of using glass to kind of create a more accurate color to what I was wanting, because the light blue terracotta that's right there is just a little bit too light for me, and it blends really well with the stone, but I wanted to get a little bit darker and a little bit more blue. And the copper there isn't quite it, and the prismarine quite isn't it either. So I think the glass kind of helps kind of bridge the gap between the lapis ore and the stone and the light blue terracotta. And I think it's a nice little detail that I think I want to start using a little bit more in the future. So all my builders out there who are fans of me, who have been wanting me to do some light baking or maybe even glass baking, if you will, there's your little taste of it. We also have this nice little like scaffolding pole kind of going across here, kind of connecting up to like this sort of little support beam right here, which I think looks pretty freaking cool. But I think the coolest little detail is the liquidator's truck right here. I had a lot of fun designing this on stream, and I just really like the little details on here. We have like the hazard sign here on the banners and even some like toxic barrels on the side. And then we have this big old pipe going down into the water, sucking up some of the toxic waste or whatever. And I mean, I'm just really happy with this. Look, we even have like some of like the construction lights on the guy right here, and of course everything is spawn proof, looking real nice and fancy. You can even go inside, but there's nothing in there. Shout out to Kale and Spine, who were in the live streaming chat. They are now the license plate, and they gave me the idea for said truck and the idea for the name of Barce Liquidators, or BRCELQ. Barce Liquidators. I thought that was pretty fun. But yes, I had to go around and mob proof literally everything, even on the backside, which I think was probably the most annoying part. So even on all these little layers back here, I had to go through and put carpets to make sure no guys are spawning, so we don't get any bad guys, no ghasts or nothing ruining my day. And I will say I've not seen a single monster spawn anywhere, which is quite good news. Which means our gold farm will be fully functional from now on, and AFKing will be no problem. Let's see how much gold I made actually just kind of being in the area and letting this thing run. Oh, that's pretty good. But we still have a lot of work cut out for us in the future here, but this is a really great establishment for the environment and more of the terraforming that we're gonna be doing around this big central area. So eventually I want to end up connecting up, this mountain with this side, but we also have all of this space out here to fill up in the future. So if you guys have any ideas, leave them in the comments down below. I will be reading every single comment, as I always do. And of course, if you want to explore this nether hub for yourself, or even other parts of my world, there is a world download available, because today is episode 70, which means you can download the world and explore it for yourself, steal my builds, but don't steal them and take credit, steal my builds and give credit. Or even you can look into my rail system here, which is fully functional, except for this track right here, which I have not installed a lever for. Do I have any levers? No, I can't reach it. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. And my shulker box is gone. No, that's so sad. I'm so stupid. What am I doing? Hey guys, post-production Barce here, and I just wanted to say real quick that in losing that shulker box, we also lost a long-standing member of the hardcore world, Frederick the Fish. So please leave a comment in memoriam of Frederick. Rip Frederick. Why? Oh my god, that scared the shit out of me. All right, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. The first on-camera totem pop. Holy crap. Maybe it was just for the hype, but I've lost the shulker box now. I'm actually really sad about the shulker box. Hi there. I know, flashbang, we're in the overworld now instead of in the nether. I just realized we've been in the nether this entire episode, which is kind of freaking crazy. But I wanted to interrupt this regularly scheduled program because we are actually introducing some new Barcer perks that I'm very excited to share with you guys. So these will only apply to the Barcer Plus perk, so don't worry, I will be updating all of the information on the Discord and on the join button on the video, so you can click that right next to the subscribe button. But anyways, we will be adding 2 new features for our Barcer Pluses, and they kind of go hand in hand together, but one of them is very particular for Barcer Plus. So if you are a Barcer, you can join the subscriber server Barce's World, and you can play with all of the other Barcers. It's a very cool SMP, survival friendly, all that fun stuff, but we're also adding a new feature where there's going to be a creative copy of this hardcore world that you can explore for yourself as a regular Barcer. But if you're a Barcer Plus, you can participate and make your mark on this world by designing an interior for me. So that's actually why I'm in Whitebridge right now, because there is a lot of buildings here that have 0 interiors, and I want you guys to fill them up and, make your mark on this world. Design the whole building to be how you want it to be. There'll be plots and everything that you can claim for yourself. And these features will be coming out very, very soon. I'm planning by the next video, this will all be completed and ready for you guys to start, kind of making your mark on the world. And I'm really excited to open up the floodgates, if you will. So like buildings like this and like, these 3 buildings here and a bunch of the hillside village buildings here will be open for you guys to add your own interior. I will go through, kind of critique it if there's anything I would like tweaked or whatnot. And if not, I will be approving it and adding it to the world. And I'll be doing a lot of the additives of that stuff on live streams and probably go over it a little bit in the videos as well, kind of giving credit to who designed the building. So I think this is very exciting. Shout out to Fwip for this idea because he does this with some of his members. And I think it's a really good perk. And I think it's just a good way to interact more with you guys and kind of just, you guys support me. And I just want to be able to kind of repay that a little bit. And also interiors. I get tired of building interiors, and hopefully you guys have learned enough from me from my interiors with Barce segment. All right, enough about that though. Even if you are a regular Barcer, you can download this world and explore everything for yourself. Now, I need to get going, and I need to start, updating the map in that map room. I have a lot of work cut out for me and updating our subscriber temple way over there. So anyways, y'all, I'm going to see you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, if you're new to the channel, get subscribed, like the video. I would really much appreciate that. And I will see you guys all next week. Bye.